It is Tuesday, September 10th, 2024. This is another edition of Baseball Today, presented to you by our friends over at 5 Hour Energy. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose, producer Dan, along for the ride as well. Hope everybody's having a great day as we are closing in on T-minus less than 3 weeks to go in the baseball season. Just before we start getting to questions and everything else, give us the mindset of those players who are like in the thick of a race, maybe on the outside looking in, but still every game counts. And those who are like, man, oh man, September 29th cannot get here fast enough.
Well, Chris, as you know, my only fault as a baseball analyst is the fact that I didn't have any postseason experience. Very tough for me. I think about it every single day, people. I was in September races from time to time, and from my experience, you're just happy. Like you're so excited because you play this entire season, and that's what you want. Like, I want to be playing meaningful games in September into October. Ask anybody during spring training. That is all that matters. I want to be playing meaningful games. So the guys that are doing that and they're a part of that, they're excited. It's the best kind of baseball there is. You know, it's everything that you worked for. So they're excited. The guys on the other end of the coin, they just want to get done. It's time.
Horrible.
Let me get my stats up a little bit, and then, hey, off season's here. Holidays are approaching. That's fun. So it's definitely a juxtaposition of attitudes throughout the league, and that's why, playing spoiler, people kind of put that a little bit too high up. Like, yeah, sure, you want to beat some teams, especially if you don't like a player on the other team, or you've had beef with that team during the season. But the spoiler role is, I don't know, that's not really a thing.
Interesting. Very interesting. I'll be talking to Logan Webb of the San Francisco Giants a little bit later.
Tell him I DM'd him and he didn't even look at it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Sheesh, Logan.
All right. Well, he's not on Instagram that much. I can tell you that. He's told me that.
Tell his assistant to at least give me a thumbs up or something.
Today's episode of Baseball Today brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Shots that help you feel alert and energized. Why? Because each and every shot is packed with vitamins and nutrients and about as much caffeine as the leading premium coffee. And here's the great thing. It contains 0 sugar. So you'll drink it in seconds. You're going to feel it in minutes, and it will last for hours. It's available in a wide range of great flavors across regular strength and extra strength varieties. So head on over to 5hourenergy.com. Use that code JOHNBOY. You're going to save 20% on your first order. That is the number 5hourenergy.com. Code is JOHNBOY. Save 20%. And don't forget 5 Hour Energy question of the week coming up later this week. Quick tip of the cap to one of my guys from the Cleveland Guardians. Joey Cantillo got his first major league win, struck out 10 White Sox, and more importantly, was perfect through 6 2/3 until Andrew Benintendi got a solid, crisp, bouncing single through the right side. Cantillo is the last piece of the Mike Clevenger deal to do something in the big leagues. So there were 6 players that came to Cleveland, led by Naylor and Hedges and Owen Miller and Gabriel Arias and those guys, and he's the last one. So there you go. Major league win number 1. Good for him.
Turns out that was a great trade. How about that?
Yeah. Yes, it was. It's worked out well.
You guys keep finding pitching. I cannot believe the names that I hear that are starting games from you. They get the job done.
Yeah.
Well, my Twins are just, we're not going to talk about my Twins this
we're
episode,
not today.
Thank goodness. But OMG.
Yeah, we're not talking about Jose Iglesias there. That's a rough go. Take a deep breath. You'll be fine. Maybe. Hey, on Monday's show, remember we talked about Anthony Rizzo and his return to Wrigley Field? Well, this time the Cubs hit the road. It was a little bit of a reversal. It wasn't the first time this guy returned to Dodger Stadium. However, he had some deep thoughts cooking.
And Cody hammers one. Right field, way back and gone. Cody Bellinger, first pitch swinging, a 2-run blast. And just like that, against his former mates, it's 2-0.
Cubs end up crushing Dodger Blue, so they keep their flickering playoff hopes alive. I want to talk a little bit about the individual Cody Bellinger, right? Because he did sign a deal. He came back to Chicago. He now has 2 player options. Next year at 27.5, the following year at 25. Do you think that he takes those, or do you think he becomes a free agent at age 29 and tries to get a little longer deal for more cash?
This is a kind of a tough one for me because the age thing still plays in his favor, but I don't think he's going to find any deals where he's making $27 million a
Right.
year. So he could look at this and say, "Hey, man, I've only seen two organizations in my lifetime. The Dodgers were great for me. The Cubs have been great for him. He's really enjoyed his time there. I think it's a great place to play. I think they have a good team. Um, in my mind, I don't think he tests. I think he takes this and then possibly after next year, at that point, we'll say, hey, maybe I'd be willing to take a little bit less AAV
Mhm.
for a longer overall sum. But I think he takes this 27 and a half next year, goes back. He hasn't had like a great year this year, Chris. It's not like some huge platform year that it's a no-brainer. So I think he'll be back with the Cubs. Um, Try to play a full season next year, and then maybe go after that, 3-4 year deal. But yeah, it just seems to me like he'll take that option and be back with the Cubs next year.
So when he went to Chicago, the goal was to reestablish himself, if not as an MVP candidate, as a viable offensive threat at the dish. He still was an outstanding base runner, a great defender that you could put at both first and in the outfield and feel great about where he's playing. He has done that, right? Last year was a fantastic year for him. I believe he finished with an OPS over 900. This year it's been it ended up what?
881.
881. Okay, so that's great.
Very good.
Still great. This year it is dipped. He's been in the mid sevens. Obviously, still has some pop. It's not like his rookie year where he almost hit 40 and then his MVP year where he almost hit 50. But he's not, there were times in Los Angeles where he looked so lost. And we're like, my God, what the hell happened? That's not where we are with him anymore. So you're right. I think that if he were available on the market, he feels like a 3-year 70 or a 4-year 80 guy, something like that is what I would guess. And so you're right. The AAV is going to come down from where it is over the next 2 years, which is over 26 million. Which ain't bad living. And if he loves it there and his young family loves it there, and you feel like the Cubs, who have played significantly better here in the second half, like if you feel like it's all right and they've got some prospects that are coming that could add, and you imagine that, we keep hearing that maybe here's the one thing. It's possible that the Cubs are begging him to leave so they can go give Soto some money. Like that's a possibility.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a possibility, Chris. I don't know how big of a possibility it is. I think that there's the other option, which you gave me two. You gave me A and B. I think the C option would be for him to go go to the front office and say, "Hey, I want to be here.
Mm,
Let's find something long term," and maybe that way he could take a AAV cut, but prolong his stay there and have a bigger overall sum.
yeah.
I think that is a viable option for him as well.
So yeah, and I think there's probably one other thing in play here is seeing what transpired with pretty good players last year where they didn't get the contracts that they wanted, and then a Matt Chapman who ended up being one of those guys initially, but ended up getting in the extension for 151 million. So there's a lot of stuff on the table that players have to factor in, and I do hope that it's a reality check for them. Like, it can't just be, well, listen, I've been this player and I'm 29 years old, and of course I'm going to get paid. Like, you have to read the tea leaves here. So it'll be interesting. I think you and I are kind of in the same boat here. The only guys he's going against free agency, Soto, who's his own category, Anthony Santander, who's basically the same age as Bellinger and is coming off a 40 home run season. Teoscar is going to be out there again. He's a couple years older, but still a really good player. And Tyler O'Neill, who, when he's played this year, has been very productive for Boston, as that continued last night. And guys at first base, Alonso, Christian Walker, Paul Goldschmidt. Those are the guys he'd be battling against.
I have a question for you, Chris.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's say the Dodgers were to say, Cody, we'll offer you the same exact contract that you have with the Cubs. Same exact deal.
Hmm.
Do you think he stays or comes back to LA?
So he's
They
originally,
need outfielders.
yeah, he's originally from Arizona, right? Don't know if that factors into his thinking at all. They both train, obviously, out in Arizona, but I don't know where the grandparents live. I don't know where.
Okay. Probably not Chicago, I don't think.
I can't imagine. I'm sure he's still. I think he turned into a firefighter, didn't Clay? Who played and at least one ring with the Yankees. Didn't he turn into a firefighter or something like that? I don't know.
Don't know that.
All right, Dan can look that up. Maybe we'll get it to you later in the show. Let's continue on with this particular series, Cubs and Dodgers. Shota Imanaga will be going against Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who is making his return. Has not thrown a major league pitch since June 15th. Here is Shota alongside his interpreter on what the Cubs All-Star thinks about the matchup.
For tomorrow, it's going to be a big thing for, everybody from Japan, but it's also for everybody around the world to see, Japanese players play against each other. But it's going to be a tough game. There's tough opponents. So, like tomorrow, I want Seiya to hit a home run. I want to do well against Ohtani. So I just want everybody from the, Cubs fan base to enjoy the game.
And obviously, this was an interview that was done Monday, so tomorrow means today on the 10th. A lot of layers to this. How excited are you for somebody who appreciates, culture from other countries and what this could mean around the world?
I'm very excited. I think this is so cool. Yeah, you mentioned I'm just a big fan of the different styles of baseball that are played throughout the world. I think that our game is at its best when we are drawing from the best talent. That means from every single country in the world. Like we need to get everybody involved. That's what's going to make our game grow and just be at its best. So I have a couple examples. Number one, I actually talked about this. I went to a restaurant in Studio City, and I got recognized by a baseball fan who worked there, which was nice. We started talking ball a little bit, and he brought this up. He was of Japanese descent. He brought this up. He said, "Man, it's going to be so cool to see this." We started talking about, Shohei. We started talking about Yamamoto coming back. He was a Dodger fan, and then he mentioned this matchup, and it just got me thinking about. Okay, I'm going to talk as an American, a guy that grew up in America here, American descent, if you will. How cool was it for us to see a U.S. tennis player, in the finals of the U.S. Open? There's so much like pride in seeing someone from your country, go up against the world's best. We feel that all the time when the Olympics come around. It's the same thing. For a lot of Japanese baseball fans, it's a sense of pride to see, people from your country competing at the highest level at the world's, best league. So, I mean, it's basically what it is. I think there is a lot of that going on, and it's cool to see. And for me, I think just on a baseball, side of things, we're getting the return of Yamamoto. I'm very curious to see how he throws. Then obviously the Shota Ohtani matchup is awesome. Lefty, both just great personalities. There's so much going on here. Besides, like, I think the number one thing is, yes, we're seeing some Japanese superstars going at it on one of the world's biggest stages, but also like the meaning of this series for the Dodgers is huge. The Cubs are trying to claw their way back into the NL wildcard hunt. Like there's just a lot of things going on here, and I think it's all great for the game of baseball. So to answer your question, I'm stoked, man. It's really, really cool that this all worked out where it's not just, hey, we're not just highlighting the Japanese ball players in our game, but there's a lot of meaning to the game as well as far as standings and playoff implications. It's big time, Chris.
Oh, it is. And I'm super excited. I'll be glued for first pitch. I wish this was a week later. Or maybe even like 4 games later, because I would love to see Ohtani with 49 homers right now and already have the stolen bases. Like, I think that would have added to it. Plus, the thing with Yamamoto, we've told you, he hasn't built up down in his rehab starts. So we're probably looking at 2-3 innings max if he does well.
I'm going 4.
You think he'll go that many?
No, but I don't
either. I know that Andrew Friedman was in the booth last night, and he talked about all the injured pitchers, and he said that obviously Yamamoto's not built up, and he said, but we are hopeful that he will get there by the month of October, like to be kind of almost regular starter.
So what's his pitch? What do you think he's going to throw tonight? 50 pitches?
I think that's where he maxes out.
Yeah, don't put a guy in the game if he can't throw more than 50 pitches. Like, then he's not ready, right? So
right. But I am super excited. I love it. And if you are in Los Angeles and you happen to be somewhere where maybe the Cubs might be staying, and you're in a coffee line today and they yell, "Order for Mike," Mike,
yeah.
you might just be standing near the Cubs pitcher tonight. By the way, how great has he been? We've seen it. Like, I love his energy that he brings out to the mound. I love that he bows before. I love that tradition. And the guy's been awesome. He's
coming off
freaking
no
great.
hitter, Chris.
Yeah.
Like, this is awesome, dude.
Good point.
He was my
forgotten about that.
preseason NL Rookie of the
Same
Year.
here.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, we both had that one. And
Not
you're
going to
right.
happen,
It's
but
not gonna
I
happen.
think it was a nice choice by us.
Yeah. Hey, quick little note for you. We are driven by the search for better. So when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for candidates isn't really to search at all. Don't search, match with the help of Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed, because Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates the fastest way possible. Ditch all the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, messaging, so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. So, listeners of this show, you're going to get $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/baseball. Just head on over to Indeed.com/baseball right now. Support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this very podcast. Indeed.com/baseball. Terms and conditions do apply. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. So go create a better workforce today. All right, we continue on. Nobody can hire Paul Skenes. He got a gig, and a pretty good one with the Pittsburgh Pirates. He set a franchise rookie record, 151 Ks in just his 20th big league start. Only 3 players, by the way, since Nolan Ryan retired over 30 years ago, have posted multiple 300 strikeout seasons. That's the big unit, Curt Schilling, Pedro Martinez. Do you think one day that Paul Skenes will join them in that exclusive club?
I do. And initially I was going to say no, because the game has changed and we're going to be more careful with starting pitchers and all this. I think this guy's going to be a 200 inning pitcher throughout his career. I think he's going to do it multiple times. He seems like a workhorse. He seems like a guy that can handle those pitch counts, go deep into games. So for a while I was like, who's the last guy to do it? And it was, I believe, Garrett Cole.
I think Verlander. I think Verlander was more recent. It was Verlander.
They might have done it They might have done it the same year, but I was looking at innings when Garrett Cole struck 300 and something now, 320 something. Yeah, and it was only 212 innings. I thought maybe he went further, higher in the innings. So I think he's going to do it. Yeah, like I wouldn't bet against that. There's no way I put money on the other side of that. Like, Paul Skenes clearly is a guy that knows how to pitch, how to get strikeouts when need be. He has the stuff to do it. It's all about being able to throw all of his starts and get those innings up. That's what you need. I mean, strikeouts is a counting stat. You got to be able to be healthy throughout a year. He just seems like the kind of guy to me. And I'm going to knock on some wood right here so Pirates fans don't get mad at me. Knocking, can you hear that? You heard it. Good. Yeah. I think he's going to join that list. He's going to be on a lot of lists with those guys by the end of his career, Chris.
Yeah, but we're talking about multiple, because the last 4 guys to do it have all been phenomenal pitchers. It's Verlander.
Verlander's gotten close.
No, Verlander did it. Yeah, he did it a few years ago. So Verlander, Cole, Scherzer, and Chris Sale have all done it since 2017. Which kind of surprised me, but they've all only done it once, and I say only. Like, that's amazing. They all did it one time in their career. But to do it multiple times, like Randy Johnson,
that's what I'm saying. So they have not done it multiple times?
They have not.
Oh, okay.
No, none of those guys.
Scherzer got 300 on the nose, right?
Either Scherzer or Verlander had 300 on the nose.
Yeah,
one of those.
I do think Paul Skenes will get there.
Okay, but the thing is with Skenes, if you're simply doing the math, like him getting to 200 innings at the strikeout rate that he's had this year is not going to be good enough to do it. I think that gets him to like 248. So his Ks per 9 are like a little bit over 11. It's something like 11.2 or something like that. When you looked at Garrett Cole in 2019 and he got there on only 212 innings, that's because he was striking out almost 14 per 9. As a starting pitcher, that's way past elite stuff.
Garrett Cole, his first full year of starting, He went 208 innings, struck out 8.7 per nine. Then he got better.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
Paul
just
Skenes is going to get better.
so I guess that's my question that I need to lean on you for. Where does he get better? Is it putting guys away, let's say when he's got a 1-2 count and then guys aren't fouling off 3 pitches, right?
I think yes. For a strikeout guy, how you get strikeouts in the big leagues is tunneling and location. You cannot. You have to throw pitches that appear as strikes and then exit the strike zone. You can't throw a pitch that's a ball out of your hand. You can't try to rear back and throw it by guys all the time because eventually guys are going to see your arm slot and be able to pick up on your fastball. Like, it's all about location. So when the location gets better, the tunneling gets better, the strikeouts will go up.
It's interesting. So the 4 guys we just mentioned who are the most recent to do it, Sale, Garrett Cole, Scherzer, and Verlander. 2 are definitely going to end up in Cooperstown. Garrett Cole, it's way too early, and Chris Sale, we've talked about a couple of times on this show this year about whether or not we think he's going to get it. But it's interesting. The other 3 we mentioned that have done 300 strikeouts in a season multiple times, Randy Johnson, Pedro Martinez, and Curt Schilling. Now, Schilling's not in. Personally, I think that's because the baseball writers don't like him, which is a different discussion. And Pedro and Randy, obviously first ballot guys. When you mention Randy Johnson and Pedro Martinez, do you think differently of them in baseball lore as compared to the other guys we just mentioned, Verlander, Scherzer, Cole, Sale?
I mean, I never got to face those guys. I almost faced Randy Johnson my first time ever, like in a big league setting. Yeah, I told you that. I probably it's weird, like if you grow up watching someone, you kind of put them on a pedestal. They were on my TV. So in my mind, I have those guys like higher than Verlander and Scherzer, only because I feel like I faced those guys and I saw them. They're really good, but I don't put them as like gods. But in reality, they are baseball gods.
Right.
They really are. So the young kids that are watching them, they see them the way that I see Randy and Pedro. It's all about perspective. I don't know.
Fair assessment.
They're there.
By the way, Dan Rourke, good work today. You get more gold charts on your producer chart. More gold stars, I should say, on your producer chart. Scherzer, exactly 300 Ks in 2018. And Cody Bellinger's dad has been a firefighter since 2007. Nice.
Hey, can I say something real quick?
Please do.
I'm on Curt Schilling's baseball reference page.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't done that in a while, or I don't know if I've ever been on his baseball reference page. There are some very impressive things, but it's not as impressive as you would think.
No, it's not. He's not. He is not Randy. He is not.
A lot of Cy Young 2s, which is nice.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can tell you this, having seen his entire career, and I want to get this out in the open, I am not a Curt Schilling human. I don't care for him.
Not a Curt Schilling human? You're not?
I'm not a Curt Schilling.
What does that even mean?
I'm not a fan of him. Like,
you're not a fan of
I'm not a fan of his. But if I had a vote, I would have voted him into the Hall of Fame. Okay, so I've always, that's nothing new. I've always said that because I do believe that he was one of the best of our time. He really made his name in the postseason, whether it's Bloody Sock or even before that with Arizona.
And before people say, well, your baseball reference stinks, Trev. I know. Like, I'm not comparing myself.
That doesn't mean you're not allowed to have an opinion.
I'm not comparing myself to Curt Schilling and his baseball prowess.
No.
I'm not, okay? Freak.
All right.
I'm a better analyst than he is. How about
Let's do this. Give me one guy that moved around at the trade deadline, maybe that people have not been talking about, but it's done a really nice job. We don't have to spend a lot of time on this, but let's give somebody some love.
Yeah, I got 2. They're both from the White Sox. I think we talk enough about Crochet, but he's still kind of flying under the radar there. And as a Dodger, he's been phenomenal. And again, I always say when I'm talking about him recently that was a no-brainer. He was going to go somewhere and figure it out. He just has too much arm talent. But the other one, I think the real answer is Paul DeYoung. Went over to the Royals, has put himself firmly at third base. He's provided stability defensively. He's hit the ball just fine. And I think that for a lineup that needed stability and some depth, he's been exactly what they've needed.
Mm-hmm. You said 2 guys.
Yeah. Garrett Crochet. Not Garrett Crochet. Excuse me, Michael Kopech.
Oh,
Didn't I
Michael
say that?
Kopech. Well, you said Garrett Crochet's name earlier. I thought that's.
I'm sorry. Michael Kopech for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said Garrett Crochet.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, Kopech has turned into Emmanuel Clase since he got traded.
I told you, it's like an absolute no-brainer that was going to happen.
Right. This is how much you and I are on the same wavelength. I knew not only that you were going to mention one of those guys, but both of those guys, because when I ask you a question like this, you'll always say, well, I've got 2 for you. So
That's
I
right.
wrote those 2 down, but
Okay.
then I wrote down a third because I knew you were going to do it. We're hanging out way too much together. I'm going to go with Martin Perez.
Yeah.
Who came over from
He was on my radar too.
Yeah, to San Diego. And in 7 starts, he has a sub-3 ERA, and he's averaging over 5 innings per appearance. Curveball usage has been apparently significantly better since he moved from the East Coast-ish to the West Coast. He has become a dependable arm, and I think they're going to make the playoffs. He'll have some sort of role out of that pen, and he kind of saved them at times when they were waiting on the return of Darvish, and then they got Musgrove back as well at the beginning of August.
Has there been any team that's improved themselves more than the San Diego Padres via trade this year? Dylan Cease.
The
Tanner
entire
Scott,
year, yeah.
Jason Adam, Brian Hoeing, Martin Perez. Like the list goes on and on. It's
Preller.
Your team.
Preller
could have had these guys, and they didn't.
Preller always does it. All right, we got one more thing still to go, but first, this word from Trevor Plouffe.
That's right, guys. It's Tuesday, so this is when we talk about this. Our John Boy Media DFS League rolls on this week and all season long on DraftKings. This is a league where you can compete against our creators like Jake and Shelfie and Jolly Olive and Joe's. You can make your lineup and compete against all those guys each Tuesday night of the baseball season for a shot at cash prizes. You're going to want to listen to this, okay? You can win additional prizes, including $100 in SeatGeek credit from John Boy Media, and the top leaderboard finisher at the end of the regular season will win 2 World Series tickets. Will my Twins be there? Probably not. But you can be there if you win this competition. If you want to get in on the action, it's not too late to sign up for tonight's contest. Click the link in the description to join the league and then enter the contest on the league homepage. Join the John Boy Media DFS League today. DraftKings.com JM League. You got it. It's in the description. Go click on it. Bye.
We continue on by saying goodbye to a Hollywood legend in James Earl Jones. Passed away Monday at age 93. Of course, in one of the most amazing movie groups ever, cinematic expertise known as Star Wars, where he was the voice of Darth Vader. Baseball fans, and a little closer to home, he too played a significant role in the movie Field of Dreams, where he was the kidnapped writer Terrence Mann. And Kevin Costner's character gets him from the Boston area and brings him back to the Field of Dreams in Iowa, where he gave us baseball's greatest soliloquy ever.
The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball. America has rolled by like an army of steamrollers. It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again. But baseball has marked the time. This field, this game, is a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again. Oh, people will come, Ray. People will most definitely come.
I only watched that about 80 times yesterday.
That was a tough one because, yes, I didn't know he was Darth Vader until much later in life. I knew him as the scary neighbor in The Sandlot. And then you find out he's actually not scary. He's a nice guy with a bunch of really cool baseball memorabilia, and he knew Babe Ruth, and that was one of the biggest twists in the plot line of any movie you see when you're younger. It's the Sandlot line. You think this guy's a big, bad, scary guy, then all of a sudden you're inside and he's giving you a new Babe Ruth baseball, dude. It was awesome. So That was a tough one. That's I think your generation Field of Dreams, my generation Sandlot. How
Yeah.
about that?
Do you have an attachment to Field of Dreams? That's a good
No,
question.
not at all. No, I think we talked about this. I mean, I've watched it before, but it definitely
Doesn't resonate, huh?
doesn't resonate like the Sandlot does for me.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I still get chills every time I hear that speech and the music and everything. It is just like, whew. It's pretty incredible. My favorite scene is actually when Ray Kinsella, that's Costner's character, he's taken Terrence Mann to the game at Fenway. I think they're taking on the A's, and they had shown Moonlight Graham's name up on the scoreboard, and Costner's like, "Did you see that?" He goes, "See what, Ray?" And then he drops him off, and he's spinning that old VW van around, and there's James Earl Jones just standing there in the dark of night with the lights shining on him. And he goes, "Moonlight Graham, you saw it. You saw it." "Saw what, Ray?" I was like, "Oh." Every time. I'm sorry. I know it doesn't play for you, but it plays for me.
You know what? I don't even remember that. So I maybe need to go watch Field of Dreams. Maybe this is the perfect time for me to
probably
go
is.
and do it. Okay.
Listen, it'll end up being slow because that's just the way cinema was back then.
I'm okay with slow movies. I'm not like this. I'm not that new age generation where I'm a TikTok brain.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty good. Sign me up, by the way. 93. I'll take it.
Yeah. I'm going 115, but
yeah, I know. Well, you come from a long line of long livers, don't you?
Yeah, on my dad's side for sure.
Good. I wish you
so
luck.
Hopefully.
I wish you luck. Well, let's all just try and be better and try and make it to tomorrow. Don't forget to get your 5-hour energy question of the weekend by Thursday night so we can use it on Friday's show. We are back at it again on Wednesday for our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, who did outstanding work today, as he always does, and the uber-talented Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose. We will see you Wednesday here on Baseball Today, presented to you by 5-hour Energy.